immunotherapy is not a single drug or treatment, it's a concept. And the concept is that you try and enhance the patient's own immune system to attack the cancer. And you can generally, that's been addressed in two ways. One is using drugs that stop the cancer, telling your immune system that it's a cancer. And the other is the use of potentially going down the route of vaccinating people against cancer. The former route, i.e. drugs that try and re-educate your immune system, has tended to be what's been in the press recently, and there are a whole host of new drugs out there, and there's been lots of promise shown. But again, this is not the situation where these drugs are wonder drugs and are curative immediately, and suddenly cancer is not a problem anymore. And they're also very, very expensive.
Are they?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So would you say that this particular medicinal technology is in its infancy?
It's not in its infancy, because some of the drugs, and I'm not going to mention them here because that's not appropriate, but some of the drugs have reached licensing and are in the process of going through potential approval or not from a national point of view, and are already in clinical use. But it's important to understand that if you're going to develop a clever drug for a complicated disease, that you actually have to invest a huge amount of money, and that's not something that anything other than pharmaceutical industries are willing to do.
Yeah. And this sort of comes back to one of the discussions I was having with Joe about, for example, one of the discussions comes up a lot about cannabis and trialing clinically cannabis on people and things like this, and it's not something you can just go, okay, let's try it, let's throw a bunch of money into a clinical trial, because there's an economic system that's in place that there's an ethics.
Yeah.
There's an ethics issue.
It's not just an economic system.
But there's an ethics issue, obviously, but there's also an economic system in place that you have to factor. You have to factor the financial side of things, and it's not just a case of let's throw a billion quid at something.
No, absolutely. And as you said, there's a whole infrastructure for conducting research, and it forms as a framework. We call it research governance, in the same way that you have clinical governance, and that means that if you're going to conduct clinical trials of any description, you will do so ethically, morally, and you'll do so with the right infrastructure, and that costs money. And in order to do that properly, you have to go through processes. Historically, it's probably true to say that medicine and pharmaceutical industries didn't adopt that, but now the regulations are very strict. And there is no way you could just simply go out there and make bold statements about experimental drugs or otherwise, or conduct clinical trials without all the appropriate things put in place.
Okay, so on that, just off the cuff, if you do have a perspective, one of the things,